It's being able to do what you want to do pretty well. You know, there's times you got to do some other stuff, but we got a lot of different jobs. Just so I can get around both sides.
It ain't bad though, it's not better than sitting in the classroom. It sucked. I hated it for the first couple months, then I just got over the fact that I wasn't coming home. I still come home like every weekend. I pretty much know what I'm going to do with my life once I get done anyway.
Have you always wanted to do farming?
Oh yeah. Ever since I was a kid. Drove a tractor?
Yeah. By yourself?
I don't know. It'd have been that 40-20, probably driving around the feedlot while Dad scraped pens. 8 years old. I ran a forklift into our shop while at home because it didn't have any brakes. I was probably 13 or 14 at that point. I had a day where I had a bearing go out of the feed wagon, which they go out sometimes, but then that night, all we had left was the other feed wagon. I ripped the spout right off it.
Oh, really?
So he was calling me. I was reaching my phone out of my pocket, and I turned, and all of a sudden I drilled the bunk with it and ripped it right off.
I had him run the grain cart when he was probably 7. I was combining, and then I needed a different end of the field I was trying to open up, and it was a power shift, so you don't have to push a clutch in. So then here I told him just put it in gear and drive alongside real slow, and he could do that. He was pretty little, but he could pull the lever back to neutral and then it would stop.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't big enough to push the clutch in yet. So he's always wanted to farm too. He used to ride with me when I would plant, and I used to have to fill with beans. I would make 5 rounds with the planter, and then I'd have to fill, and he knew exactly when it was time to fill. He counted all the rounds when he was little.
Really?
Yep. He'd say, "Oh, one more round, then we got to fill." Yeah. So that was
always on top of it.
Yep. That was a lot of fun.
Working with RJ has been that's what you could say is the pleasure of being able to farm when you can work with your grandson. It's probably, I can't explain it, but it's just really, really enjoyable.
Farm. When I got out of high school, I worked for my grandpa and my Uncle Joe for about 1.5 years, and then I started farming with Dad. We farmed with Dad's brothers.
Yeah.
Everybody farmed together for probably 7 or 8 years when I was out of high school, and then we started going on our own because our operations were growing, and all the uncles had a son that also was going to farm, so everybody kind of did their own thing. Yep, that was kind of neat how we all got along. 4 brothers and their kids, and
I started when I was 19, I had to go to the service and come back, I suppose, probably about 50 years. Been selling Dekalb for 40, started in 1974, so 44 years. On that I have, my family, or Rosie's family. They started in 1938. Kefflers. Well, it was a Schmidt. Her grandfather, or her uncle, her dad, yeah, would have been her uncle. Started 1938 for 2 years, and he grew seed also. And I guess at 2 years later, he had 11 townships when he started. Well, then my father-in-law, Rosie's mom and dad, in 1940, they helped him first for 2 years, and then they took over because he wanted to go to strictly growing seeds. It's been in the family for 80 years now, I guess.
Staples came down and did a big promotional deal on it just last month. I think he's one of the oldest dealers, he thinks. I think they started Dekalb started in like 35 and they started selling like 38. So it's only 3 years that somebody could have been longer than them.
It's been in the family for over 80. It started with, on my mom's side, Keffler, and then my mom's mom was a Schmitz, and they actually started it west of town where Paul and Mary used to live. Mom and Dad used to live over there. So yeah, they just did an article on them for Staples, where my wife Deb works, because Monsanto is one of their merchandisers for one of their vendors. So they've been in business over 80 years, and we might be one of the longest, running Dekalb dealers family that's been in the family that long.
Staples is doing an article on us, just a little insert for their magazine, and they'll kick that off at their big meeting when they have their rep meeting, or all their accountants down in Texas, wherever they're at this year. So yeah, I'd say we're one of the oldest. It's another thing with her, she's been part of this deal since the start. She run every piece of equipment we had except the planter. She's done everything else too, so it's kind of like without her, things would kind of get juggled up a little bit. She's a pretty main cog in our situation too. So. But it takes everybody, he pretty well takes care of everything. So I just got to go, and I got Ryan Feek in the seed business. He manages all the business end of it. So all the grandkids, they get involved every so often, picking up rocks or whatever else we got to do.
part about farming is probably the field work or working with cattle.
You like feeding every day?
Oh yeah.
Does it get old?
Nope.
No?
Maybe when they're fat it gets a little old because they're not as excited as when they were young. But yeah, when they get a couple more months, they won't be able to jump around anymore. They get pretty big.
When we're delivering seed, we're doing seed. I pretty well most every day's here. I got a couple fields ready for them this year, but that was it. We got a hired man, and Christopher Luch helps us, and then RJ and Nick, and it's a family deal. So, and it works well. Been working well.
He's in there all the time. I'd rather be running my planter or sprayer or something.
In the field?
Yeah, I ran it for like 200 acres last year, but we're spraying Acuron once on all our corn, so that's the only thing you spray. So if you screw it up or miss a spot, you don't go. You have to go back and respray it for no reason. I don't know. I really liked running the sprayer yesterday. I like doing that. And I like planting, but I don't know if I'll be able to touch the new one this year. He loves it too much.
Well, it's all one deal. So right now we're farming about 2,500 acres. So I got about 3,600 head of cattle up there, and I think he said seed-wise we're selling between 9,000 and 10,000 bags of corn and 18,000, 19,000 bags of beans. It takes everybody. I mean, like Ryan and Jesse and Mark was out here helping yesterday, and he's mowing some now, so he gets involved in it when he can.
You know, we feed a lot of cattle. You know, between all three of us, 3 operations, I would say 7,000 head of cattle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe 8, probably, because we feed 3,300. Jerry always feeds about 1,500. So, you know, you're close to 5,000, and Pat feeds 3,000 to 4,000. It's 8,000 to 9,000 head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty, for family owned, you know, we don't feed for anybody. They're all family owned cattle. It's pretty big.
Yeah, that is a big operation.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a brand new monitor.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a newer deer monitor. All my other ones have the next size older, so this is all new for me, trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
All the setup of it, and it's a little bit different. It just keeps getting more advanced, you know. This one here can turn on the ends if you want it. Yeah, I think it's another $500 a year on your subscription. It's capable to turn on the ends. The better accuracy you want costs more. And then it's SF3, which is almost down to within 2 inches accuracy, where my other ones are about 6 inch. They go like SF1, SF2. This one's SF3 now. They never used to have 3. They used to go to RTK, which is right on.
Yeah.
SF3 kind of takes the place of, it's close to RTK in the new ones. Okay, my other ones have, like for just discing, SF1. That's close enough for discing, and that's the basic general package. Okay. You get that when you have your, you know, for planting though, I want it more accurate for planting.
Right.
So
precision.
Yep.
Huh.
And then another addition is your section control, it's called. That shuts me off on the end. No, I gotta lift it. It just shuts it. Whatever I have done here is painted on this screen. And then when I run into what I painted, what's blue, that shuts the planter off because it shows that that has already been planted.
It's overlapping or something?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And that's called your section control. Okay. And that's, you know, you got to pay more to have that too also. But.
Yep, and all the feeding end of it up there with the feed yard too. I help wherever they need me when we're working cattle or whatever, calves, but I like the feeding end of it too. I like it all. You know, the smell of the dirt in the spring and the new calves coming in the fall, and when you got the seed going out, it's all nice when it works. With the seed here now for the last month or so between treating and going out, it's an everyday job, you know. I think last night when they folded up and got back, RJ and Ryan went up, it was 11:30 when they got back here last night, and we had a guy in the yard this morning at 6 o'clock, so you put a lot of hours in, you know, for what you're doing now, but when you get everybody taken care of and everybody satisfied, that's the name of the game. So just like everything else you do, satisfaction.